Build 6 HO scale yard goats for roughly the price of this one little gem from Athearn. Bob Johnson with PK&W Railroad coming at you with another video. This time about how I built 6 yard goats in HO scale for around 30 bucks and how you can do exactly the same thing. These Magnuson model resin kits out of yard tractors have been around for ages, and I've had some in my stash for a while. I thought they'd make a great addition to my intermodal yard, maybe as background models. Of course, their primary deficit is that they're solid resin castings. They've got no interior details, so the instructions say to paint the windows black and then simulate reflections in the glass. I thought it would be great to instead use decals and put some drivers inside there. Here's a shot of the primer I used to prime the models. It's a little bit dark, but it seemed to work okay. This is my normal outdoor spray rig on top of a rolling trash can. And here's the parts after I've primed one side. Obviously, I had to let it dry, flip them over on a fresh pieces of tape, and prime the other side. This next picture reflects several steps that I failed to get photographs of. First, you can see the models have multiplied from 2 to 6. That's because in going through my stash looking for something, I don't know what, I found 2 more models, 2 more kits, which meant 4 more trucks for a total of 6 trucks. It's always super efficient to make things in multiples, and so I figured why not go for 6. Also, in addition to having them primed, I've painted them white, and here I've masked off the areas that I want to remain white. Those are the roof, because this is a Southern Railroad, so it's probably going to get hot out there in the yard, so I figured white roofs would be a good idea. The windows, because I want white background for the decals that I'm going to use to show the interior of the cabs. And then the bumper area on the front, because that's where I'm going to apply some candy striping for warning striping for the models. Now here on this next picture, I have painted the cabs the fog Montana black color, which is the company color for the Gulf Coast Intermodal Company. And I've stripped off the masking so you can see the areas that have been left white. Now this is a shot of the decals that I created in order to do this project. I wasn't quite sure how big the figures should be inside the cab. Maybe I could have done some better testing instead of just doing them in a lot of sizes. It turned out I needed to use the absolute smallest size that I printed. You also see the candy stripes that I use for the bumpers. I thought, erroneously, that I could just cut them in half and flip it over and get a divide where the stripes ran in 2 different directions on the bumper, but that's not true. You have to actually do a mirror image of it in your digital graphics program. I failed to do that. So the stripes all run in one direction on my bumpers. Oh well. The letters you see on the decal sheet are for the roof. I thought it would be a good idea to be able to identify these yard goats from a tower or from a drone perhaps. And so I thought it would be good to give them a letter designations. In hindsight, I probably would have picked a different font, but it came out okay. It was also nice that I had the letter T, because ultimately I ended up putting President Trump as the driver of one of the goats from the side views, and I put the T on the top of that particular tractor to designate that was the Trump tractor. No political message here. I didn't find any pictures of Joe Biden driving anything. Trump was clowning around inside some big rig at some point during his presidency, and so those pictures are on the internet. Pretty funny stuff. So I figured it would be fun to put that in there. But the message is you can put anybody you want inside one of these cabs. Yourself, your buddies, your relatives. Have fun. Unfortunately, I tried to get some stop action of putting the decals on the cabs. It didn't turn out. My stop action work is still not where it should be. The next picture you see a jig that I created using cardstock. The gas tank on the side of the frame for the truck makes it lean to one side, so you need to have a jig to hold that straight so that you can attach the cab to the frame of the truck. Here in this picture, I'm showing how you attach the front wheels. You need to put some pressure on the top of the wheel inside that wheel well. In addition to the decal work, the inside of the wheel wells was painted black. Now, one of the tricks to assembling these models is making sure that all four wheels touch the ground so that the model doesn't rock back and forth. Here's how I did that. I attached the two front wheels and one of the back wheels, and then I held the model in place with those three wheels on the ground, and then I attached the one more set of rear wheels to the model, letting that rest on the ground so that I was sure that all four wheels were in contact with the ground and the model wouldn't move around. Worked out great. The entire model was assembled with medium viscosity CA glue, and I used a little accelerator occasionally. That stuff is amazing. If you haven't used accelerator, I highly recommend trying that. Here's a picture of the entire fleet. And here's a close-up where you can see the standard, which is from the side, you can see a driver in a blue shirt, and from the front, you can see a driver in a blue shirt. I had to use a graphics program to get the color of the shirt of the guy in the front to be kind of a similar blue color. Looks a little weird in a oblique angle like this, but from dead on the side, it looks great. From the front, it looks great. It certainly looks better than something painted black with a little bit of reflection on it, in my opinion. Now here's a comparison of my Magnuson resin models with an Athearn Ottawa yard tractor. There's really no comparison, right? The Athearn model's got a ton more detail, and yes, I could have added rear view mirrors and things to my Ottawa yard tractors, but they were meant to be background models. I didn't want it to take forever to build these kits. I had a lot of fun putting them together, but I didn't want to overdo it. The Athearn model, obviously, tons of detail. Look at the trim around the windows, interior detailing. One negative is I don't know how easy it would be to recolor these, to repaint these in a custom paint scheme, given especially the delicacy of some of the railings that are on here. Additionally, I don't see how to actually open that up and put a figure inside. If you know how to do that, please let me know. But again, here's a shot of one of my models. This is the T-Tractor, and you can see President Trump in the side view gesturing with his fist. And here's an overview of the entire fleet. I'm really happy with how it came out. I'm sure these will really help populate my intermodal yard module. Now all I need to do is build about 100 chassis to keep them busy. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing, giving me a thumbs up. Until next time, this is Bob Johnson with PK&W Railroad signing off. Keep on modeling.